the studio with us, members of the board of Richland Rejuvenates, and we have Mick Cosgrove in with us today, and we have Paul and Roseanne Knorr, who are on a date here today to the radio studios. We appreciate that. Mick, you've got a big show coming up next week, don't you?
We do, Phil. Thanks for having us. We really are excited to be hosting kind of a blues night at the auditorium. So kind of years ago, we used to do blues in the Driftless, and kind of bringing that theme back a little bit with an amazing group called the Jimmies. And they're just an awesome, if you get a chance, go on YouTube. There's a lot of videos on there. We were just looking at some of them last night. And so we're excited to be hosting them. And prior to that, we're going to get a local favorite. Annie and the Crush is going to open at 7 o'clock, and they'll be on the stage for an hour. And and then followed by the 2 hours with the Jimmies. So it's going to be a great night of music in Richland Center at the auditorium.
The idea for the show, I know you've been kind of wanting to try to get more on a regular basis, and go with some of these shows kind of on the circuit. And was it your idea for the Jimmies, or?
No, actually, that was Paul that suggested that. So,
yeah, Paul Knorr?
I did, yes. Well, we got on the board at the auditorium, and I looked around. First time I'd ever been on the stage or backstage, and I looked around, and I thought the Jimmies would be perfect for that building. The crowds will be jumping, the bats will be flying, the ghosts may even come out that night, Phil.
So it's getting into that season.
They are a high-energy band, so I thought they would be a great band to have there. And it figured out they could do it on a Friday night in October, so I think it'll be a grand event, I think. So.
And you've seen them before a few times?
My wife and I went to Jamaica with them in 2019. They had a trip to the Jimmy's in Jamaica, so we went to see them down there, and we've seen them several times. We just saw them this past Sunday at the Oktoberfest in New Glarus. So they're excited to come to Richland Center. They've never played in that building, so they're excited about it.
So it's blues music, but to kind of describe their playlist for us.
Oh yeah, well they'll do Ophelia. They do a lot of originals. They'll do Ophelia by the band. That's probably the one that they'll finish with and get everybody dancing. So they have three. Well, my wife Roseanne knows all about the Jimmies. Do you not, Mrs. Knorr? So
hi, good morning.
Good morning, Roseanne.
Yes, well, you were asking about some of the songs, and I heard some Johnny Cash tunes when we were there.
I
in
Walk the Line.
Yeah, but they jazz it up. So maybe if you're not too familiar with blues music, part of the neat thing with that band is the fact that it's a 7-piece band. Jimmy himself, he's the lead singer, the lead organist, and he's won many awards himself, but his fingers just fly over the keyboard. It is amazing. But there's also a horn section. There is a saxophone, there is a trumpet, there is a trombone. And let me give you the names real quick. It's Jimmy Vogeley, he's the lead. And then, let's see, Perry Weber on guitar, Chris Sandoval.
Really
amazing. Mm-hmm. Chris Sandoval on drums, John Wartenweiler on bass, and they say it's the best horn section around. Pete Ross on saxophone, Chad Whittinghill on trumpet, and Joe Goltz on trombone. They just jazz it up. You certainly are not going to show up and go to sleep listening to these guys. They're going to want you to get up and dance. So we're kind of talking about how to get everybody out of their seats on this concert. So great band. So.
And they won many awards, haven't they, Roseanne?
They have won many awards. I took some information off their website. And they started winning awards since 2014, so they've got 10 years in of these awards. But Bassist of the Year, Artist of the Year, Blues Band Gold winners in Madison, Woodwind Instrumentalist of the Year. It just goes on and on. Blues Songs of the Year. So, honestly, I have 2 pages of awards, but we need to look at that. I mean, they put out all their efforts. They are excellent musicians, and they are highly recognized in Wisconsin. So, again, we are just very lucky to have them here.
They play 2 kinds of music, rhythm and blues.
Rhythm and blues. Not country and western.
Country and western, rhythm and blues.
Yes.
But you're a music connoisseur, Paul, and certainly, but it sounds like there's something for all people that like all genres of music, right?
Yeah, I believe, and they'll do some slow songs, and they'll get you up dancing, and do some covers, like we say, Walk the Line, and all of that. So they're a high energy band, and I think it'll be a great concert for that building on that night. So.
When we grew up, certainly, I think there were more live music opportunities, Paul, and I think it's more of a rarity now, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's nice to be getting some live music back. In that old building, we're trying to get more. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mick, but we're trying to get more bands going into that. Get more bands into that venue. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yes, we are. And that's our goal, is to have something there on a regular basis, not like 3 or 4 times a year, but monthly or semi-monthly at the most. But basically trying to work towards that and mix up the genres. We've had the Symphony on the Rocks. That's classic rock. We kind of got into a groove there where we want to make sure that we're touching everyone's tastes and making sure that everyone that has a preference has something to see there. And so we're excited.
Really something special about that old auditorium, isn't it?
It is. We're really proud of it, and I'm passionate about it. It's the oldest civic auditorium in Wisconsin, as most should know, I hope know, built in 1912. And there's so much history there. As a kid, I remember going to, seeing groups there. Bobby G. Rice, some of our locals, the Chief Tones. I remember some of the groups that were just starting to make it big, and so very, very much a lot of history there, and we want to make sure that is here and it stays here. And the acoustics, every single band that's ever played there since I've been involved is always comments on, we'd love to come back here. I've had some call and say, any chance we could record there? And so I don't know how they did it in 1912 before all the computers, but they did something right, and it's just a great place to enjoy quality entertainment.
Yeah, you wonder what it was that they did, because back then they weren't really looking at acoustics so much as just space and stage and whatnot.
Yeah, and they just fell into it, I guess. It's just a great alive room that they love to play. I remember when the young man from the Hill Point area, Jaco, first he came in there a couple of times and just sat in the dark on the stage and played his guitar, and of course he's that was in the beginning, so to speak, and so and he's doing great things and great sound. So, and several others along the way. We had a cello player that showed up one day and said, "Can I sit on your stage and play?" And those are things that nobody sees, but to me it speaks of the appreciation of the quality of what we have there and why we are fighting hard to preserve that.
And you've done a good job. The elevator's in. It really looks like it's always been there, when you drive by it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's really opened the door, because prior to that, I remember we had a show years ago that it was a matinee, and we brought in folks from the nursing homes. It was actually Maggie May, and the hospital had sponsored it, and there were so many with walkers and things, and we had the outside wooden ramp, but it really was a hassle to get them in and make them feel comfortable. And now it's a cakewalk. You come in and the elevator takes you right to the floor, and it's just making everything much more accessible. So.
Indeed. I think, too, in the 60s, I think Marty Robbins played there. I'm thinking Hank Snow, I believe. So there have been some famous folks there over the years.
And, of course, Liberace was there at one time. We know that. And Houdini was on the stage. In fact, he was so good that they still haven't found him.
Maybe that's what Paul's talking about. We're going to see him with the Jimmy.
Up in the rafters.
Yeah, he's up in the rafters.
Hey, Phil.
Yes, sir.
Gutnick told me you'd be nicer to me if I gave you a present.
Is that right? What do you have?
I brought you a present.
Look at that. The Jimmy's T-shirt and a couple of old sneakers on
a couple of Converse on there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you got to be nice to me.
I think it might even fit, too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So do the Jimmys have some merch, too, that they'll be offering?
They will have some merch. Yeah,
like
they had some down at New Glarus where I got this. So they will have a merch tent or a merch table in there. So, yes, they're quite a large band as far as their fan base goes. So.
Do they have some recordings that will be available too?
They do, yes. They have several CDs. I have a few of them myself. But they have one live at Transylvania. They have one that they recorded live over in Transylvania several years ago. So
really,
so yeah, they'll have the whole shebang will be there then.
Oh, that's good. And they have quite a following, so I presume that that'll help sell a few tickets here too, right?
I believe so. And I should say the tickets are $20. And where are the tickets available at, Mick? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yes, you can go online to eventbrite.com and then just search under RCPAC or the Jimmys, and it'll bring it up. You can order them that way if that's your preference. Locally, Napa Auto Parts or Christie's Sunnyside Bakery, and then we'll have them at the door as well. So.
Okay.
October 11th. That's coming up a week from Saturday night.
From Friday night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're going to be doing a football game that night.
That's right. I will.
It is a Friday night.
A Friday night, the 11th. So, yeah, and I mean, that's kind of good, too, to have them in here on a Friday night to kick off the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, that'll be great, yeah.
Yeah. So why do you guys get involved with events like this in Richland Rejuvenates? Roseanne?
Well, we are new on the board, like my husband had said. I had gotten a call last winter from previous board members and said, we heard about you guys, you want to be on the board. And so I went to Paul and I said, what do you think? He's like, let's just thinking about it for 24 hours. And then we decided to go and start getting more involved. And we like everybody on the board. I'll have Mick kind of read through who's on the board because some of the things is there's new ideas. And we are talking about fixing up the building. And so there's been cleaning going on in that building. I think that's very important. And of course, some people, there's been a lot of outside work done on that. And now we really need to focus on the inside and just to beautify it up. So that's coming. It is coming. So, but Mick, could you list everyone that's on the board and with their new titles?
So our new president is Dwayne Welty, and his wife, he's the president. Our vice president is Kent Adsit, and our treasurer is myself. And then we have additionally Shirley Welty, Roseanne, and Andrew Sharp, Bob Frank, Dave Roberts, who's new to the community somewhat, but not new to theater, and he's been involved in had a sound company where he produced shows and so forth. So he's got some expertise there as well as some other areas so we're excited to have Dave as part of the board. And then my wife Robin is also on our board of directors. So
I think it's important to have people from all walks of life, isn't it?
It really is. And the expertise like Dwayne has got, and Kent and others have great ability as more towards the repair, construction, maintenance, those kinds of maintenance things than myself and some of the others that, we're trying to do it. And so we're really happy about that. I'm not sure if I mentioned Andrew Sharp. He's on the board too, which Andrew brings the community players, and he's actually one of the longest tenured board members that we have, going back even before myself. So yeah, the variety of perspective, Roseanne and Shirley and some of the gals have more of that artistic view, the things that, sometimes we as guys just don't think about in the same way. And so it's really been encouraging and revitalizing to me to see some new faces and some new energy and passion for the building and for just live music, as we've mentioned. That it was kind of a dwindling thing, and to bring all that back to the stage and live theater as well. So.
Do people come to you guys now, Paul and Roseanne, and say, "Hey, bring the Stones," or bring,
Well, they mention a group from Hillsborough every once in a while.
Oh, do they?
I should be bringing over.
Some of your old friends
from the class of '69. But besides that, so no, and I think we're I think Dave Roberts is wanting to get some more, hook up with some people and get some more leads to bring music in. Correct, Mick?
Yes, that's right. Dave has some history working with. Was it Stoughton Opera House?
Stoughton Opera House, correct.
Yeah, so, it's getting on to some of those booking opportunities where we got maybe some larger names that are coming through the area that we could put on the stage, and just getting us more focused, and so that's great to have that.
Yeah. Do you have anything planned then after the Jimmy's next Friday night, or is it kind of a circuit coming up this year, Mick?
We do have, actually. I mentioned earlier a show where there was trouble getting some of the folks with physical needs in. On December 15th, we're looking at a country Christmas, bringing Maggie May and the Sawmill Creek Band in for a matinee Christmas show. And I don't know if you've ever seen their shows, but they bring in the day before and they decorate the place. It's all Christmas. I mean, the stage, you look like you're in the middle of a CMA country production in Nashville. And so that's coming up, and we're also talking with and trying to put together, and it's looking like it could happen the Saturday before Veterans Day, doing something specifically for veterans where the veterans would benefit, a music show and and some bands that were all
Band
over.
from Hillsborough, right? A band from Hillsborough.
There you go, and some other music, and so yeah, it's the goal is to really get regular, and I think in 25 you're going to see us pretty regular and with shows and bookings.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you guys are open for suggestions, right, Paul? If somebody
Correct.
has one.
Yeah, anybody that has think they know a group. And now Roseanne and I go around, like we go to like the Stoughton Opera House or the Mineral Point Opera House or the Temple Theater in Viroqua and kind of dream about what we can do with the auditorium based on. My wife comes back with ideas of what to do. And we have to put her on a budget, though.
Right.
And I don't have one yet, but I do need one. And I'm always here to encourage people to donate because we are a nonprofit organization, and it takes money to make the world go round. So we're coming up at the end of the year. If anyone wants to donate, please contact Mick Cosgrove, and We'd love to have extra funds coming in. That would be great.
Absolutely. And it benefits the whole area, Mick.
It really does. The economic, we see people come and they go and have dinner before a show, might be filling up with gas. We see a lot of people from out of the community that come in for the shows, and it stimulates the economy in more ways than just, hey, they were here for a couple hours in the community. They find things, they see things. I remember last year we did a fall event, and someone came and said they had been up to the orchard at Oakwood in the afternoon and saw our advertisement and decided to stick around. So they had dinner somewhere. I don't recall where they said, but they ate dinner and then came to the show. And so those are the stories that we like to hear, because it's all about not only providing good quality entertainment for the community, the residents here, but also things that will draw people into the community. And who knows, they might just like Richland Center and want to move here.
Stick around.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's the goal,
right.
I think.
That's right.
It'd be nice to have an open checkbook. And I remember, seeing some of the prices that some of these, like nationally known bands ask for. But I mean, we're talking probably 30, 40, 50,000 for some of the bands.
Correct, yeah. So, and then your tickets have to be priced accordingly.
As a result, yeah.
And I know, Mick, we also have something in the basement of that building going on in there?
Yes, so we also host have a renter in the Union, which is a student-focused organization that it's a nonprofit, and they've made the lowest level of the auditorium their home and doing great things in the community with our young people as far as helping them when they're needing that extra boost coming in education, and Health and Human Services are doing some things over there with families and troubled youths and so forth. So that's exciting to see it. The building is not just a show once in a while, and of course every day the Energy Services of Richland County is on the top floor as a renter, and we're very thankful for them because that gives us the stability to keep the lights and the heat and insurance and those things going. So
The marquee looks nice out there as well.
yes, yeah, that's we've had mixed reviews on that. Some
Really?
thought that, well, they like it. It's actually right to the original designed. It was designed actually by someone from Richland Center that worked for a company in Madison that actually manufactured it, and was but it has the digital part, and so they're like, that couldn't have been there in 1912, but we have to compromise on something here. So.
Well, it's easy to read, that's for sure.
Yes, and it really does help, because the old stick and the letters, and the wind would blow and the letters would blow off, and trying to get them straight and spaced right, and this is really easy to use, and we've been able to promote other community things as well on it. So.
Is there an effort to do some more things to the auditorium and, eventually seats and things like that, Mick?
Yes, in fact, that's on our
We talk about that a lot.
Yeah, and
To-do list?
Yes.
Our board meets tonight, in fact, and that's one of the things that will be discussed. Is seats is probably the biggest thing that we hear the most of. We still have windows and doors to do to secure the exterior of the building. The roof's been done. There's been so much mechanically done, and that's so costly. All the electrical has been upgraded. The sprinkler system brought in, the fire alarms, all the things that have had to, and related then to the elevator. So we do want to get the windows and doors done, but we're focusing also at the same time trying to get to the auditorium proper, which the biggest improvement there will be the comfort for those coming. So.
Oh, awesome. The Jimmy's coming up next Friday night, the 11th. I'm guessing there are some videos on YouTube. People could check them out, too.
Correct. I think my wife
Yeah, and
found
they've got a
some.
great website, great videos, pictures.
It's JIMMYS, correct?
Yes.
The Jimmy's. That's
Yep.
spelled like that.
Yep. The
Jimmy's. Okay.
Not the Phillies, it's
No,
the Jimmy's.
the Jimmy's.
And if you get lost, just look at your shirt.
I have to look at my shirt. Thank you for the T-shirt, too,
Oh,
by
you're
the way.
welcome.
I'll thank them. And we're going to be having Jimmy on with us next week. He's going to join us and talk about the band a little bit more. So,
Great.
Very good. Anything else anybody would like to add this morning?
I'd like to share a couple quotes from some
Sure.
people that have seen the Jimmys. Alligator Records, a gentleman by the name of Bruce Iglauer, says, "The Jimmys are excellent musicians, wildly fun entertainers, and perform a slew of strong original songs. They're a treat for any fans of roots rock, old school R&B, and straight up blues. Every performance is like a party." So, again, we just can't say enough about how much energy that they bring to the stage. And another gentleman from Elmore Magazine says, "I'd never heard of Madison, Wisconsin's The Jimmys before I saw them at a blues fest. And it's led by Jimmy Vogely on keyboards and vocals. And that band upstaged Dave Mason and blew the crowd away with their swing blues."
Wow.
So I think if you are, please don't sit home on that night. Please come down to the City Auditorium.
Yeah, I've heard one of the quotes I remembered was someone said, "This is a band you never want to follow. You want to be opening before them and not
Yes.
coming after them because it's a tough act to follow." Which just, I think we have a great matchup in it. I think Annie and the Crush, they do an amazing job and for a three-piece, and that just kind of sets the tone for the party to follow. So
Indeed. If you can go to a blues fest and impress, Paul, that's pretty impressive.
That's
isn't it?
correct. Yeah, and they're going to the Jimmys are going to Jamaica again, and they're going to Norway on a cruise tour in the spring.
In
I believe,
April of
right?
25.
In April, there's a blues tour, and they're going over there. So
Big
all
stuff.
the way from Richland Center to Norway. That's a long way.
Yes, absolutely. Again, can people get tickets locally, Mick?
yes, they can. Christie's Sunnyside Bakery has them, Napa Auto Parts, and we'll also have them at the door. If you prefer an online method, you can do eventbrite.com and then just in the search bar put in the Jimmys or RCPAC and it'll pop up and you can order them and pay by card online. So tried to cover all the bases, and we hope that you come out and join us for an amazing night of music on the 11th of October.
And I think very reasonably priced. $20 is a good price.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
well
Per
worth
ticket.
the price. So,
Good. Hopefully a lot of people will. Thanks for coming in, you guys.
Thank
you're
you.
welcome, Phil. Thanks for
Appreciate it.
having us.
You bet. Paul and Roseanne Knorr and Mick Cosgrove joining us here talking about the Jimmys next Friday night at the Richland Center City Auditorium.